When I bought Lady K, I lucked out in the biggest way you likely can when you buy a sailboat. She'd just been repowered with a brand new engine with almost no hours on it, giving me the confidence to go just about anywhere, knowing full well that that engine would always start and run reliable for years and years to come. But what if you could do the same thing? Find a boat right now with a new engine, but also new standing rigging, the other major expense on a used boat. A boat that already has air conditioning and dinghy davits and has already outfitted to head south because she's already been to the Bahamas twice, all for under 90 grand. Ted Brewer is one of the most legendary yacht designers from the last century, with more than 160 designs to his name. Many of those designs still plying the world's oceans today. But when we're talking about Caribbean cruising, none so appropriate as the Brewer 44. A 30,000-pound cutter with an almost full keel, and the rudder's on a skeg, where it should be. The 44 has been a staple in the Caribbean and ocean cruising for decades, so when one comes up for sale, it's important that we stop and take notice. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if by the time you're watching this video, this boat is already long since sold. These don't come up often, and especially not so with a brand new engine and rigging. If this boat doesn't have any soft spots in the deck, this will be the deal of the year for 2024. The owner was a solo sailor who took her to the Bahamas twice and is now downsizing, so that tells us a few things. She's proven, and he's already spent the time and money to sort her out for the Bahamas cruising ground by himself. She sports things like solar and an electric windlass. He forked out the 20 grand for the new engine and the 15 or so on the new standing rigging. He added davits and lights and all the other bells and whistles you'd likely have to add yourself to do what he's already doing. Now he's ready for a smaller boat and it's someone else's turn on his Brewer. This is a center cockpit ketch, so she's meant for ocean passage. That's what we use ketches for. It's lots of sail plan to get her really moving and balanced and dialed in for long days at sea. The center cockpit is to keep us safe while the boat's out in big waters. And when there's no wind, that ridiculously overpowered Yanmar 4JH puts down 110 horsepower to move us along, fueled by its 136 gallons of diesel. That's almost $500 a tank of diesel to keep you moving in the doldrums. And it's 110 horse. This boat came with 62. So someone wanted to spend way more money than they needed to on a repower, and it now has less than 1,000 hours on it. So it's already broken in. And the other important tank, the freshwater, that's 200 gallons. So you won't be running out anytime soon. And you can do the entire Caribbean without bothering with a water maker if you want to go that way. And this boat will be right at home in Florida and the Bahamas because she has a 4.5-foot draft on that huge long keel. Among her great features are a reverse transom with a small platform. This is sort of the precursor to the Sugar Scoop. It's got a large aft deck with bright and roomy interior. She's appointed with 2 staterooms and 2 heads. There's a walkthrough to the aft stateroom with an additional companionway to the cockpit. The owner's stateroom features a queen-size bed and a head with a separate shower stall, something we don't see all that often. The main saloon features settees on each side that convert to additional berths so you can bring your friends, a drop-leaf table, and a lot of storage. To port of the companionway is a U-shaped galley with top-loading fridge and freezer, a 3-burner stove, double sink, and more storage. Opposite to starboard is a nav station, and in the walk-through passage is access to the engine room as well as an additional navigation and work area with more storage. Forward is the V-berth and a wet head to port. The highlights of this boat are obviously that repowered Yanmar with under 1,000 hours, new standing rigging in 19, dripless shaft, electric windlass, autopilot solar, reverse cycle air and heat, dinghy, davits, mast steps, and lots of paperwork that comes with the boat about maintenance, the labeling of systems, even cabling that's labeled, making it easier for a new owner of this boat to familiarize themselves with it. For sails, rigging, and canvas, it's a keel-stepped main mast with double spreaders, a deck-stepped mizzen mast with single spreader, detachable inner forestay, which is currently detached, new standing rigging, new chain plates in 19, full batten mainsail, a Genoa, a Yankee with a non-overlapping higher cut meant to be used with a staysail, a mizzen sail, hank-on staysail, storm jib, storm trysail with a separate track on the mast, which we never see, and a new Schaefer roller in 2019. 2 Variant 28 2-speeds, 3 Variant 21s, 2 Variant 24s, and 2 Variant 21 non-self-tailers, and 7 spin-lock clutches. The Dodger and Bimini connectors in good shape, 3 front isinglass panels replaced in 2022. All of that, and she's just a nice boat, and that's the sales pitch. So what's the downside? What do I actually think about this boat? Well, I love a Brewer 44, I really do, and this one has had a lot of the big price tag stuff already replaced. I'd like to know who did the work, who did the engine and the rigging. And in replacing the 62 Perkins with a 110 horse Yanmar, were any other changes made, like the stringers where the engine sits to support the added weight and power? He did chain plates in 2019, that's a big job. Who did them? Do we have receipts for any of this stuff? Not that I'm going to be too picky for under 90 grand that he's asking, but I'd like to know who did the work if I can. The electrics are all older, less sophisticated. The solar's low end, the power inverter's kind of low end. And the boat has a generator, which he says runs on the engine side, but the electrical genset side isn't producing power. What's wrong with it? He says he has an estimate for repairs. The anchor is not a new generation, so I'll be spending $1,000 on something there. How old are the sails? A full set for a ketch rig is going to be upwards of 15 grand on the low end. How long before we have to spend that money? Has she ever been surveyed? Can I see that survey, even if it's 5 years old? And lastly, the condition of the glasswork. The big ticket items are fixed. And Brewer did an amazing job with these boats when they built them in Fort Myers, but I'm looking for osmosis and blistering under the waterline. And with boats like this, with almost level forward decks, I'm looking for soft spots in the core. And those are going to be very likely. This boat's from the late 80s, so she's had a lot of time to develop leaks in the hardware bedding. How bad is it? How much work am I in store for? A moisture meter on a dry afternoon will tell me a lot about this boat. And if it's full of soft spots, it's probably not worth what he's asking. If you're looking for a cruising boat to hit the Bahamas and further down the islands, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more capable boat than a Brewer 44. But remember, this isn't a 2005 Beneteau with a sugar scoop and lots of windows. This is a proper heavy tank of a cruiser with a significantly bigger keel that will be able to keep you a lot more comfortable in the chop or in a rough anchorage or bashing to windward when the time comes, and it will. This is an 80s boat, a very well-made boat that has and will again cross to the Med or circumnavigate, go wherever its owner wants to take it, provided it's all in good shape. And this boat will go places that the Beneteau can't go. Be more comfortable when it gets there, and because of the build quality and weight, it'll be able to handle blue water a lot better. The builder says she's 30,000 pounds, but what we usually find when we lift boats like this is they're a lot closer to 40,000. The glass layup is significant. The tankage and rig and chain plates are robust. This boat is meant to blue water sail, and for the 90 grand they want, provided none of the things I mentioned to look for are too bad, someone's going to end up with a beautiful, very capable boat here. The mission here at Lady K Sailing has always been to get more people sailing more easily. A big shout out to the patrons who make that mission possible. Thank you. If you'd like to help support the mission for as little as a couple of bucks an episode, please consider becoming a patron. Until next week, friends, keep the heavy side down, but not too far down. We'll see you.